can't bend. Y'all be playing it safe and I be going for the win. Remember back when they was doubting on the kid. Now they tuned in cause my game too legit.
Fantasy Headliners Nation. Headliner Nation. Fantasy Headliners for the nation. I'm a headliner. I'm a headliner.
Yeah. Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. Y'all stuck on third down. Your content's plain Jane. Headliners on top now. We gonna move and change. Podcast off the rip. Draft guide, so legit. Fantasy world, our game tight. You know we about that chub life. Stuck in a rut and you need some motivation. Head to the channel for this Headliner Nation.
I'm a headliner.
Yo, what up, nation? Welcome to this beautiful Thursday, January 11th, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We're live here in the off season for fantasy, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to stop talking football because it is the NFL playoffs and our amazing sponsors over at Underdog, our amazing partners over at Underdog, are having some NFL playoff best ball drafts. So what better way to get involved once again? Did your fantasy season not turn out the way that you would have liked? Maybe it's time to redeem yourself and hop in some best ball playoff edition over on Underdog. You can still get signed up over there using code word headliners. All right. They're going to match your deposit up to $100. They might be doing 500 right now. I saw them post, or I think I saw something posted on social media yesterday that it might be up to $500 right now. So you'd have to double check that. Don't take my word on that. It is going to be 100 no matter what. And then if you want to play some pick'ems as well, you're going to get a special pick'em to play this weekend if you would like, but we're locked in for some best ball. So I'm going to be creating a couple of best ball leagues. I'm going to be posting those in Discord. So if anyone's over in Discord that's watching right now, if you want to get in on those and help me draft, feel more than welcome to jump in when I get those posted. We're going to talk a little bit of rankings to begin with. I'm going to give you some of my rankings in terms of playoff rankings and something that you need to, we'll talk a little bit more about playoff rankings and what they entail and why they're a little bit different. Papa J, Briz, Doug, Bentley, James, what's going on, everybody? Hopefully you're having a great day today. So for playoff rankings, especially in this type of a format, you know, there's a lot of different things in play. And one of those things in play is you really have to lock in on whether or not you believe somebody is going to be moving on to the next rounds, right? So you take a look at like the two teams that have the first round buys. Do you automatically just give them, you know, the number one overall ranking? Maybe not, because what if a 1 seed were to get upset and they only end up playing one game and we put one of their guys behind somebody who played in the wild card round, who ended up winning in the wild card round and playing in the divisional round, and they end up getting obviously 2 games. You know, what teams are more likely to go 3 games? What teams could end up going through the entire playoffs? So those are things that you want to keep in mind. And you'll see some of those things in my rankings, what's going on. The boys. Shade, we're talking about rankings right now. They are literally on the screen. And I'm going to go through per position, because really it depends on what you want to draft and kind of how you want to structure your team. The best ball drafts over on Underdog right now, they are quarterbacks, running backs, and then wide receivers or tight ends in the starting roster spot. So you don't have to draft a tight end. You can go running back heavy if you want. You could stack some quarterbacks. So we're going to be talking more along the lines of positional value and positional rankings to start. And then we'll kind of go from there. We'll get a couple of drafts in, and then we'll end up calling it a day. We'll be here maybe about an hour or so. So hopefully if somebody comes and watches this after it gets posted, you're getting some good information and you don't have to sit around too long and just listen to nonsense. But let's go ahead and talk about some rankings. And I kind of already, had mentioned why, these best ball rankings are a little bit different for the playoffs in terms of best ball and how they look and how you put guys in certain order. Kyle, hey, is there a way to see who donated a membership to me? There would be, but you would have had to have been in the stream that it was actually donated. So I don't know who it was, unfortunately. So I won't be able to answer that one for you. So let's take a look. There's a name at the top that you can't see. It's Josh Allen. So Josh Allen is technically my quarterback one in the playoffs right now. So I'm going Allen, I'm going Dak, and I'm going Lamar Jackson. I already mentioned it. I definitely think Josh Allen has a good shot at playing 2 games. Dak's getting a secondary with Green Bay this weekend that he definitely could end up lighting up, and they could end up winning. He could go on to the next round. Lamar Jackson obviously has a chance to go all the way to the Super Bowl. One that might surprise you is Matthew Stafford, having him as high as I do. When you take a look at a guy like Matthew Stafford, I am going higher with Matthew Stafford because I think he's going to play well against that Detroit secondary. And as much as I'm rooting for the Lions, they have the Rams have a really good shot at beating Detroit. So not only does he have a really favorable first game, but he has a good shot to go on to the next round. And that's the reason why I'm going to go ahead and toss Matthew Stafford up as high as I have him right now. Jalen Hurts, I went back and forth on a little bit because he is beat up right now. Tampa Bay secondary is a super easy matchup. So there's definitely, obviously, a possibility of having a good matchup in the first round. Moving on to the second round, if they get down near the end zone, he's got a really good opportunity to score touchdowns. That's why I've got him as high as I do. He will drop if we were to find out that maybe he's more banged up than we thought, or obviously won't play. We'll just remove him completely. I doubt that ends up being the case. Flacco, Purdy, CJ Stroud, Jared Goff. Now, Tua and Patrick Mahomes may surprise some of you. And you might be like, why is Tua and Patrick Mahomes so low in your rankings? And I'm not going to go through and break every single player down. I'm going to touch on certain guys and talk about that because, once again, we're going to do some drafts, and I want to make sure that we save enough time for that without making the video super long. Tua and Patrick Mahomes are a little bit of a toss-up for me right now because both of these guys could end up being gone after the first round of the playoffs. But not only that, they're going to be playing in some pretty crappy weather this weekend. There are some outlets saying that the wind chill could take it as low as -5. Somebody from the Kansas City area was saying earlier that it could go like as low as -30 with the wind chills. It's one of those things where if you were to draft Tua or Patrick Mahomes super high, and they were to have a really bad game because of the cold in their first game and lose, you're screwed at the quarterback position, right? And that's why I have those guys ranked so low. Kenny, you don't see it. I understand that you don't see it, but you also have to keep in mind the Eagles have played very, very bad down the stretch. Devontae Smith is injured, A.J. Brown is injured, and Jalen Hurts is injured. So, are they going to lose? Maybe not. Could they? Absolutely, they could lose. Same with Miami. They have to go play in weather conditions that they're not really used to practicing or playing in right now. And they have to go on the road to an environment that is very loud and tough to play in. Same thing with Miami. They haven't played great as of late either. So you gotta take some risk reward here. And there's a lot of risk with both those teams. Lions or Rams facing the Ravens in the Super Bowl. You heard it here first. I wouldn't hate that either way. So that's why Patrick Mahomes and Tua are so much lower for me, because I just don't really trust either of them. Baker is interesting because obviously that Philly secondary can cause some issues, but it's Baker Mayfield, and I really don't know what to expect from him this week. Obviously, he can be a little up, he can be a little down, he can have some good games. Obviously, that's a matchup that could be a little bit tougher to win. So for me, I do have Baker a little bit lower. Jordan Love, kind of the same thing for me. I know Jordan Love's playing well right now, but you have to go on the road to Dallas, face one of the best home teams in all of football. They've got a good defense. Interceptions are going to be a high probability this weekend. Jordan Love's going to have to play near perfect football. And because of that, if he were to have a tough time against that Dallas defense, maybe he throws an interception, has a fumble or something like that, doesn't really find the end zone as much as we would like, and gets knocked out, you're kind of getting screwed. So you have to take those things into consideration, and those are things that I'm taking into consideration as I talk about the best ball leagues here. Let's move on to running back right now. Oh, I have to remember you can't see everything on the screen. There we go. Christian McCaffrey, even with missing the first week, we're going to go with him number 1 overall. Obviously with the bye, he might not give you as many points to start with, but the hope is that they make a deep playoff run. And even if they were to lose in maybe the NFC Championship, you still get a couple of really good games out of him. Isaiah Pacheco, I like against Miami. Miami's having some issues, obviously, at the linebacker position, at the defensive end position. They've had some injuries here at the end of the season. They're banged up at safety. And because of that, in a really cold weather game where they could be running the football quite a bit, Isaiah Pacheco is a darn good player right now that I really believe could end up having a huge impact, not only in their first game, but potentially in their second game if they were to move on as well. And if for some reason they don't end up moving on and Miami pulls it off, then you got to look at it and say, hopefully Isaiah Pacheco gives you a really good first game, and then maybe that is still enough to propel you the rest of the way. Tony Pollard's got a decent matchup going up against Green Bay. Green Bay, not great at stopping running backs. Tony Pollard, hopefully he can have a decent day, score a touchdown. Dallas wins. They move on to the next round. You're going to get potentially a decent matchup in the next round as well with him. James Cook, I've got him up this high solely based on the fact is I think he's one of the running backs that have the best opportunity to give you at least 2 games. Obviously, TJ Watt being banged up could end up being a huge plus for Buffalo. So James Cook, he's got a lot of upside there. Jahmyr Gibbs going up against the LA Rams. I think they're really going to have to get Gibbs involved, whether it be some dump offs, some screens. With the LA Rams, it's really tough to run right up the middle at them. You have to try and get the ball to the outside a little bit, away from Aaron Donald. You do that, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be your best option to do that, and that's why I got him significantly higher than David Montgomery. And of course, the same thing comes into play where you look at it and say, if Detroit were to get knocked out in the first round, who's got the opportunity to give you the most upside there? Raheem Mostert on the ground against Kansas City. You got to think that he's going to be a much safer bet than a Chan. Kyron Williams has a really tough matchup against Detroit to start. So if he goes up against Detroit, doesn't find the end zone, has a subpar day because he can't run against that Detroit line, then you find yourself where maybe Kyron Williams didn't give you that great of a game. Now they're knocked out, and now you don't get anything else from him. So, you got to be really careful in terms of also drafting, some guys that have a little bit of upside, but also some safety picks as well to make sure you kind of balance that in your lineup. Gus Edwards missing the first week, but it could end up having a nice game or having a nice matchup in his second week. Devon Chan, Rachaad White. Rachaad White's really tough. I could see Rachaad White going as high as being right above Raheem Mostert and even Jahmyr Gibbs if they were to play in the second round. But I don't know what Philly team is going to show up this weekend because their defense obviously can get killed in the secondary. They were good for a majority of the year on the ground. Unfortunately, at the end of the year, that kind of dissipated a little bit. So what are we going to get from Rachaad White? We know he's been really notorious for giving us some good games, but being highly inefficient. If that were to happen against Philadelphia and Tampa Bay were to lose, you find yourself, in a situation where you don't get a ton of points out of one game. Devin Singletary and Jerome Ford both have tough matchups. Neither of them are locks to move on. DeAndre Swift has a tough matchup as well. David Montgomery, I don't think he's going to have a great game this week. That's why I have him a little bit on the lower side. And once again, there's a lot of risk. If you were to guarantee me that Detroit would play a second game, David Montgomery would be up above Devin Singletary at the worst right now. Aaron Jones has a tough matchup. Najee Harris and Jalen Warren don't have a great matchup, and they might be out after one. And then some backups of Rico Dowdle, Dalvin Cook, Kareem Hunt could be guys that maybe you invest in. If you play in a little bit of a larger league, maybe you go like 6 players, and you have to have a couple of backup running backs to potentially put in as well. Let's look at wide receiver. CeeDee Lamb, I mean, he could have one amazing game and be right there. You know, Deebo Samuel has potentially a really good matchup in the second round. Amon-Ra St. Brown is on a mission right now. Puka Nakua's got a great matchup against Detroit this week. Devontae Smith, for me right now, A.J. Brown would be here, but I think A.J. Brown is probably a little bit closer to being on the questionable status than what Devontae Smith ends up being coming. So that's going to be another question. I think Devontae Smith, if Devontae Smith ends up playing and Jalen Hurts ends up playing, Devontae Smith has a lot of touchdown potential this week. And Philadelphia, if they win and move on and he's healthy and A.J. Brown is healthy, then that helps out. Cooper Kupp, obviously against Detroit, a really nice matchup this week as well. Stephon Diggs might not have a ton of work week one, may not have the highest upside week one. But again, if you get 2 games out of him, that's going to be a lot better than some other people. Brandon Ayuk could have a really favorable matchup after their first game. Tyreek Hill, you got to be really careful again with him, right? The weather is going to suck. Now, he's used to playing in that weather because he played in that weather when he was in Kansas City. He has a little added extra motivation factor to potentially go in there and knock out his former team. But how well does Tua do, right? Like, how well does the offense as a whole do? Can they keep Kansas City off the field and keep their offense on the field a little bit more often? Remember, tight ends and wide receivers are grouped together. What up, Daniel? Those are grouped together. So David Njoku is going to come after A.J. Brown. If A.J. Brown, I find out, is fully healthy and Hurts is playing, A.J. Brown goes all the way up to probably right after Nakua for me, and I probably bump Devontae Smith down below Cooper Kupp. So just keep that in mind as we find out a little bit more about whether or not they're going to be healthy. David Njoku could have a really nice matchup this week. Travis Kelce could end up having a nice matchup this week. Mike Evans, for me, could end up having one really good week and then be bounced. So Mike Evans right now is kind of right here, but if they get a second round game as well, I could see him going up as high as like my wide receiver 5. So keep that in mind too when drafting some of those high upside picks. Nico Collins, again, is it one and done? Amari Cooper, kind of the same thing. Is it one and done? George Kittle, being a tight end and being so up and down, I moved him down quite a bit here. Then you've got guys like Zay Flowers, Rashee Rice, Isaiah Likely, Jalen Waddle, Jake Ferguson, Dallas Goedert, Brandon Cooks, Dalton Schultz, Chris Godwin, Jaden Reed, and Odell Beckham Jr. kind of finish off my playoff rankings there. So I'm going to go in here and I'm actually going to create a draft. If you're watching right now and you're in Discord, I'm going to go post this in Discord. Right now, I'm only going to I'm going to start off with a $3 4-person draft. Again, these are not going to be super deep, right? You're only going to end up having about 4 or so people. They go as high as 6, but you might not have a ton of those. Let me just... I have to move around on my phone a little bit, and y'all don't need to see that. Y'all don't need to see what I have hidden on my phone. Hold on, let me get this posted real quick in Discord. Hopefully some people are able to hop in pretty fast. And we can do a draft right away. Ooh, somebody hopped in right away. Another one filled right away. Will number 4 fill right away? It did. All right. Draft is starting soon. We're already filled up. And I've got the number 1 pick. It's me, it's TJ, it's Steven, and somebody named Tumbleweed 420. I don't know who that is. It's got to be Du Bois. It's got to be Du Bois, right? That's the only name I don't recognize, so we know exactly who it is. Draft starts in 34 seconds. I have the number 1 pick. You know, they show some projections here on the screen. I'm not really going with projections because I don't really care about the projections. So when I take a look, hold on. Did I do... I think I picked the wrong one. Oh, crap. I did. I didn't change it. That's right. We'll do this one. This isn't all the teams together. This isn't all the teams together. This is only Saturday. This is only Saturday. So that's my bad. We're going to go ahead and take Tyreek Hill then. I screwed that up. We'll do another one. Don't worry about it. I forgot to change the slate from Saturday, which is what it was designated at, to the entire playoffs. So I screwed that up. So go ahead and join me on this trip down mess up lane, and then we'll get back to it in a second. TJ joined, and he's not making his pick. Not fired, but definitely laughed at now. We'll fix it. We'll fix it in a minute. Michael, appreciate it. Man, we were excited. We were excited. There is... What up, Brendan? There is ring video footage of my son and I sprinting out the front door into the front yard screaming. He also may or may not have knocked me down at one point. When Sanders still had that interception at the end of the game, we jumped up off the couch, and he was like sitting next to me, and I jumped like in the air on the ground. He jumped on my back from behind me. Let's go with Mostert here. Let's go with... And he knocked me down on the couch. He jumped up behind me and like wrapped his arms around my neck, and I fell backwards with him on top of me. So we had a good time. And I told there was a couple of people kind of asked and stuff like that, and we talked about it. And obviously we went through like years and years of embarrassment and being told that Michigan's no longer a top-tier program, and losing to Ohio State consistently, and bringing Harbaugh in and it not translating to bowl wins. And like now we got back-to-back Big Ten champions. We got a national championship in the modern era, which is really what Michigan needed. But the best part of all of it is that I'm okay with all those years of misery, because it allowed me to celebrate this with my son, who's become a big football fan as well. And that was a lot of fun. This season with him has been a lot of fun. We went to opening day at Michigan Stadium for the first game of the year. We went to the Big Ten championship for the second straight year. We got to watch a Rose Bowl win together against vaunted Bama. We got to watch a national championship win together. So lots of years of embarrassment and disappointment, but it made this weekend, or this past week, worth it. And it's crazy to see that I finally got to celebrate like a championship in my adult life. I need a quarterback. I have to take Tua here because he's like the last quarterback left. I guess I could have waited, but I don't want TJ or Steven to swipe him up and then laugh at me because I don't have one. We'll go with Dalton Schultz here. How many rounds? Oh, it's almost done. This is super quick. It's only 6 rounds. It's only 6 rounds. All right, so we'll get another one posted. Who knows when the Chargers will win a Super Bowl? Well, you might get Jim Harbaugh, and you might be on the way. That's what I would be hoping for if I were you guys. He's coached on the West Coast before. San Jose, San Francisco, Stanford. Obviously enjoys his time out there, or he wouldn't stayed out there that long. And his family might be like, I am tired of living in the cold. I do expect him to head to the NFL, though. I do. So here, take a look at the board real quick. So I've got Hill, Mostert, Rice, Tua, Dalton Schultz. Why doesn't it say all of our names? So TJ would be next. He's got Flacco, Nico, Achan, Singletary, and Waddle. Steven would be third. He's got Pacheco, Stroud, Njoku, Moore, and Kareem Hunt. I like that. And then last, the boys with Mahomes, Kelsey, Jerome Ford, Amari Cooper, Noah Brown, and CH. I only got one running back, so I kind of screwed the pooch there. I'll grab Damian Pierce, and hopefully he gets some work. Special teams, that helps me out. All right, let's go ahead and not screw this up this time. We're going to go 2023 playoffs. This is much better. We'll do a 4-person draft once again. Let me see if anyone said that they were interested. I know Brendan wanted to get in one. Here, we'll do a 6-person. We'll do a 6-person. 2023 playoffs. Okay. Yes. All right, here we go. All right, let me post this here real quick. If you're in Discord, get ready. Those links are coming for you right now. And this is actually the correct one. We got 2 filled, 3, 4 filled, 5. One more spot left. That filled fast. What's up, oh Shagnificent? It gave me the number 1 pick again. I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing to do with that. Why doesn't it show all the names there? It's me. It's Casey. It's Kenny. Du Bois is back in. Brendan got in. And Briz got in this time. Can I... I could move that, but I don't want to mess with the structure. Draft starts 3, 2, 1. All right, already kind of mentioned it with Josh Allen. I feel like, and when you take a look at projections, quarterbacks are projected for significantly more in this, significantly more in this type of structure. When I take a look at like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, I'm going to go ahead and go with Josh Allen here. I'm going to kind of shoot for that safety. Lamar Jackson a little bit more upside, but I know that like I'm getting a guaranteed, well, not guaranteed because the Steelers could beat them, but definitely could get 2 games out of him, could get 2 games out of Lamar. I'm looking to kind of take those 2 games at the beginning to start with and roll from there. And just so you can see there, you start 1 quarterback, 2 wide receivers or tight ends, 1 running back, and 1 flex. So just based on that alone, taking a quarterback to start makes the most sense. Now let's kind of chalk up the wide receivers. Why is it not showing by projected? Oh, it's because it's got... Oh, it's because it did my rankings. That makes sense. And I just put them in ranking in terms of position. I didn't do overall, so that would be why. So let's go. I'll let you know real quick who just went off the board. So I went Josh Allen, Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy. We go to the second round. Briz went with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and now we're back to Brendan. Brendan goes with Debo. James Cook off the board next. Kenny is now up, and then Casey. Isaiah Pacheco goes to Kenny. I was hoping it would make it to me. Jalen Hurts. Now it's me at the turn here. I am going to go... I'm going to go with Tony Pollard here. Don't absolutely love it, but again, I think it's a little bit of a safer pick there. And then with wide receivers, Puka, Cooper Kupp. Man, drafting Puka or Cooper Kupp could be dangerous. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and go with Puka there. Gonna go ahead and go with Puka. Hopefully he has a decent day against Detroit. Detroit wins it. You know, hopefully I at least get a good game from him. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Pollard pick, but this draft, I'm looking at it a little bit more of a safety, like a safe floor than anything at this point. You know, wide receiver-wise, I'll go ahead. There are a couple of other guys that I'll run with to be a little bit safer, potentially, or a little bit more upside. Tyreek Hill goes after Puka, Brandon Ayuk, then Zay Flowers. Brendan is on the clock now. Jahmyr Gibbs, Kyron Williams, Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs. Oh, they're moving. They're moving. I don't know who you are, Daddy, but I'll tell you right now, you don't want to scrap with me, buddy. I have no idea who you are, and if you're going to make threats like that, I'd be very careful. I would tread lightly if you're going to start threatening people on the internet. You don't know, I guarantee you have no idea where I live. So I would be very careful if I were you. Chat, why don't you let D Daddy or whoever that is know? Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs, Brandon Cooks, Gus Edwards. Casey's back up again. I'm back up now. I'm going to go with another running back here. Mostert's a guy I want to go with. I'll probably go with Mostert here. Wide receiver wise, I'm going to go ahead and risk it. I'm going to go ahead and risk it with A.J. Brown now. Yeah, dude's a clown for sure. So right now I've got Josh Allen, Tony Pollard, Puka Nacua, Raheem Mostert, and A.J. Brown is my starting lineup. One running back, one flex, two wide receivers or tight ends, and then one quarterback. Notice how they left one message and then they left the chat completely? Imagine letting somebody live in your head rent-free. If I were daddy, I wouldn't be trying to I wouldn't be trying to fight me. I'd be trying to charge me. Because clearly I should be paying rent for living in his head. All right, let me get my picks in here real quick and then we'll go back to the board. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go Mike Evans here. Rachaad White is still available, so I'm going to go ahead and grab Rachaad White too. So now looking at the board, I've got Josh Allen, Tony Pollard, Puka Nacua, Raheem Mostert, A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, and Rachaad White. Casey has Christian McCaffrey, Jalen Hurts, Tyreek Hill, Devon Achane, Patrick Mahomes, Devontae Smith, Aaron Jones. Kenny has CeeDee Lamb, Isaiah Pacheco, Brandon Ayuk, Gus Edwards, David Njoku, Jake Ferguson, and Matthew Stafford. Kenny, that lineup worries me just because I don't know how many people go on to the next round. But if you get some lucky wins there and you get some guys moving on, you probably have the best lineup so far. I really like what you did there. A lot of risk, but a lot of reward with it. Tumbleweed went Dak, James Cook, Zay Flowers, Brandon Cooks, Jerome Ford, Joe Flacco, and Cooper Kupp. Brendan has Lamar, Debo, Jameer, Stephon Diggs, Isaiah Likely, DeAndre Swift, Rashee Rice. And then Briz went Brock, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kyron Williams, Amari Cooper, David Montgomery, Nico Collins, CJ Stroud, and George Kittle. I like the upside of my team as well, but again, I'm going to have some things go right. I played it a little bit safer to begin with, but... Do I like doing stacks? I will stack if I'm feeling really confident on a team moving on, right? If you do like a stack throughout like regular season best ball, you definitely find yourself in a position where things can be a little bit easier on you. You'll have some up and down weeks, but it evens out towards the end for the most part. In this format, if you lose somebody, you're kind of screwed. Let me go ahead and I'm going to go with Devin Singletary here to give me another running back just in case. And give me Jaden Reed here. I don't have any tight ends. That's fine. You don't have to have tight ends. We have the rest of this round and one more round. And then we'll take a look at what my team is looking like. Off the board. Jameson Williams off the board. Don't mind that. Kenny goes with Jared Goff. Odell Beckham Jr. Chris Godwin. Mr. Bakes a Lot, what's going on? Justice Hill. I mean, he could get Sam Laporta. Not bad, Briz. I see you there. I see you there. Backing up just in case. Demarcus Robinson. Wolverines all day, baby. Go blue. Justice Hill in a full PPR league. I mean, he's going to get some backup work, but he might get a few dump offs or something like that, but is he going to give you a whole lot of work, especially since he doesn't play in the first round? There's some other guys I would probably shoot after. As far as Pierce or CEH, I'd probably go with CEH. The only way I'm going with Pierce is if maybe it's a playoff league that offers any type of return yards. If not, then I'd probably just go with CEH. All right, and I'm going to go with another quarterback here. So we've got Tua, we've got Baker, we got Jordan Love and Mason Rudolph. If you look at kind of like the best like potential to move on, I think you got to go with Tua here and just keep your fingers crossed, right? I think you got to go here and keep your fingers crossed. We've got Josh Allen and Tua as my quarterback. Tony Pollard, Raheem Mostert, Rashad White, and Devin Singletary as my running backs. Puka Nacua, A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, and Jaden Reed as my wide receivers. I don't hate that. I don't hate that. I think we found a nice little mixture there. Joe, shout out to y'all for allowing me to win my fantasy championship. Hey, glad we were able to give you some good advice this year, but you won that shit, baby. That's all you. That's all you, not us. Any other questions about playoff formats, best ball formats? Keep in mind, head on over to Underdog. If you want to participate in any of these, head on over to Underdog. Sign up using code word headliners. They're gonna match your deposit up to $100. They'll match your deposit up to $100, and you get like a special pick'em as well. So if you want to play some pick'ems this week, you could do that while also drafting some best ball teams. Any other questions about these formats? Yeah, in Discord, if you're not a member, we have a player props channel. We'll be posting a lot of stuff in there. I'll probably do a live stream maybe Saturday morning-ish. To talk about player props for this weekend. So we'll do that. But yeah, just wanted to put together a quick little show here, a little live stream, draft a couple teams, talk some rankings as well for best ball leagues. Jump on in over at Underdog. If you can't get in Underdog, there's some other places that you can do some best ball leagues at. But hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this. Hit that like button. If you're watching this for the first time, whether live or recorded or whatever, make sure you subscribe if you're new here. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions. But best of luck to everybody this weekend. Best of luck to everybody in the playoffs if you decide to put together a few of these. And we've got an episode. We've got an episode coming after this, later this afternoon. Jake and I maybe have a bet for the playoffs. That will be fun. We'll break down the first round. We have a few props for everybody that we'll talk about, so that will drop. Jake has another reaction video, or kind of a, not reaction video, but he's got another video coming out tomorrow, similar to mine, kind of a review of the 2023 fantasy season. What went right, what didn't, things like that. And I'll try to be live on Saturday as well. I'm going to Detroit on Sunday. I'm going to stay the night in Detroit. Keep our fingers crossed that we get to celebrate a Lions win in the playoffs. So I'm going to get out of here, though. Peace out, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy. Hopefully you all have a great rest of your day. If I don't see you this weekend, have a great weekend. And I'll catch you all in the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners. Peace out, everybody.
on the line, you can't fold and you can't bend. Y'all be playing it safe and I be going for the win. Remember back when